Hi folks, Carl James here from Electric Media Madness, and I'm joined again by Dan Ryan.
Hello.
Which I wasn't expecting this actually, because you spoke to me and said that you were going to start watching Picard.
I did, yeah.
So you've binge watched the first 6 episodes.
Wasn't fun. Wasn't fun. It was very draining.
Yeah.
Very draining.
But something good has come out of it, because you've now decided that you're going to really blitz the entire history of Star Trek, which is a mammoth job.
It is.
I mean, you've watched a lot of Star Trek anyway, but
Yeah, I watched
nowhere near the level.
Probably like 2/3 of Next Generation. All the movies. Discovery.
You've seen some episodes of Deep Space Nine as well, haven't you?
Yeah, about 10 of Deep Space
and the
Nine.
odd ones of Voyager.
One of Voyager.
Yeah.
And one of the original series.
Right. But now you're putting that right. You're already well into the original series, aren't you? So that's good. Yeah. That's always a good thing. It's something of a sad thing when you have to go back and sort of cleanse your palate, as people put it on YouTube, by watching old, good, real Star Trek. And today we've literally just watched episode 7, Nepenthe of Star Trek Picard. So shall we jump into it then? We'll go through the plot and point out a few bits and bobs. Jump in wherever you want to, and then we'll have a bit of a little discussion about it afterwards.
Yeah.
Typically, for most of Picard episodes, we're starting with a flashback. Seems to be something of a favourite thing for Alex Kurtzman and his bunch of goons. So we're going back to a point which is not technically before the series. It was episode
3 weeks before.
Yeah.
I think. So
episode 2. Is it around about then? And it's Agnes Girardi at the Daystrom Institute, and she's visited by Commander O with her funky sunglasses on. And the discussion we only saw a little tiny bit of in that episode was why Picard visited Girardi and that. And she mind melds, Commander O melds with Girardi. And we see these images of cities blowing up and planets blowing up, and a Romulan pointing a phaser at her head as if she's going to shoot herself, which we wondered whether it was somebody who was older. I think it was Rizzo. I thought about it afterwards, and it looked a bit more like Rizzo than, but an aged version of Rizzo. But in any case, it's one of those things typical of this era of Star Trek, where we get like little snippets of things that don't really tell us anything at all. But she says that this is what will happen if synthetic life is allowed to exist. I want, because then she gives Girardi a tracking device, doesn't she? I
thought she was going to give her a pair of glasses.
Yeah. But we had a good laugh, because she gives her this tracking device
to swallow.
Swallows, and immediately the thought is like, well, if it just goes into your digestive system, has she been storing the poop in her body for 3 weeks?
Yeah, surely that'd be gone the next morning.
I don't think it. I think it, because she was crunching it, wasn't she? Chewing it. So I don't know. Maybe it goes into her bloodstream.
They have evolved so much that they no longer need to defecate anymore. Maybe that's how far humanity has gone.
For waste extraction in the future. Yeah. And Commander O says to her, it will require a sacrifice, isn't that? Yeah. I'm not sure. Would it be justifiable to, unless there was more to the conversation that we don't see that's off screen, is that justifiable enough for her to murder her boyfriend, or in the way she did in the
Sure.
Why not? Just because writing says. So, anything more on that one that you can think of? That bit. We jump to the present day after that. Back on board the La Serena. That's a terrible name for a ship, that is. It really is. Yeah. And it's trapped in a Borg tractor beam on the Borg cube. On the Borg cube, Rizzo and her Romulan thugs are shooting Borg workers to find out where Picard and Soji are. Rizzo says, "Kill them all." I called that scene there, didn't I? Because I said, Hugh's gonna die.
Yeah.
You know, because they've done it with Egypt, they've done it with Maddox. I won't jump the gun with the whole Riker and Troy bit, but we'll stick with Hugh for now. Which at that point they didn't.
They didn't, no.
But you know,
yeah,
this doesn't stop Alex Kurtzman and his gang. She says to Hugh, "You may have doomed 1 trillion souls across the galaxy," or you know, because we're like episode 7 and we still don't really know what's going on, do we? So Narek's on a ship now. He's heading off to track the last Serena, and Rizzo lets the ship go so that Narek can follow them. Presumably that's why we got that scene with the tracking device beforehand, so we now know how they can track the ship. Then Elnor finds Hugh. He turns up again. They talk again about going through the spatial trajector, don't they? And no, they're staying behind. And Elnor's going to protect Hugh. The bridge crew on board the last Serena, they say that Elnor's crazy, and then Jurati says, "Oh, and brave," which is, after how many episodes of
they say something nice.
They say something nice to him, yeah. And then Mia says, "Adios, kid," and then they're off. They're heading off. So we jump to Nepenthe, and Picard and Soji arrive through their little spatial trajector portal thing. And they're greeted by this. Well, look, I thought it was like a hunter originally, but this girl,
pacifist girl.
Yeah, pacifist.
Yeah.
We'll come to that. Yeah. So she's got a bow and an arrow, and it turns out that she's Kestra, Riker and Troy's daughter. A little nod there to the episode Dark Page of Star Trek: The Next Generation, where we find out that Deanna Troi had a sister who died when Deanna Troi was a baby in that episode, and she died. So there's a nice little nod to that. Soji says, "I don't believe anybody. I don't believe anyone. I don't trust anybody." That presumably because of what's happened in the previous episode. She said that she believed Narek. But I mean, she did believe Narek.
Yeah.
And she believed Picard enough to go with him.
Yeah, she doesn't believe anyone, but she follows some random
having her trust shaken. But she follows him anyway. So kind of inconsistency there. And then we get the line, "Kestra, I'm a pacifist."
with her
pacifist,
weapon.
even. Yeah, with her weapons and all that. But she could do it if she had to.
See, she says she's a pacifist. Then she aims at the bow. He's like, "Oh, don't aim for my heart. Aim for my head."
Yeah.
And then she does. Yeah. Very fitting of a pacifist.
Yeah. And funnily enough, I brought up in an earlier episode Picard talking about how shit his knees were. He hoped he didn't have to kneel down for the ceremony, the bonding ceremony with Elnor. And then I listed off a whole load of things in the past of Star Trek that have been easily cured by late 24th century technology and science, including Picard's heart, because Picard was stabbed in the heart and has got an artificial heart. So how is it that replacing a heart is so easy, but your knees?
Arthritis
knees. Yeah, I don't know. So Picard, as I can't remember which YouTuber it was that started this. I've got a feeling it was Doomcock on Overlord DVD, and if it was, it's a great point. The apology tour, the Picard apology tour. That's what this series is basically, because every episode he's telling somebody that he's so sorry, and he does it here again to Soji. He says, "I am so sorry." So
I think it was only once this episode.
I think did he apologise to Riker and Troy at one point? I don't do my notes anyway.
Yeah.
May have. I'm not sure, but he may have done. Yeah. Soji, one of my pet hates, I bring it up in all these videos, is contemporary slang from the 20th, 21st century used. Never been used before, and now it is. And Soji does a whatever thing to Picard. She talks about just get on with the mind game. So. I wonder if she thinks she's still in the mind game that Narek did. So then we see Deanna Troi with Picard, and they have a hug and a kiss, which was nice. It was nice to see these characters whenever these things happen me being the sucker I am for member berries. I love Star Trek: The Next Generation, so seeing these characters back together, albeit however briefly, is nice for me. So yeah, it was nice seeing that. Troy's put straight in there. You're in trouble. How bad? You know, bit of a different approach now to how she used to be with Picard. Picard says, "I'm very glad to see your face." Then we see Riker in the kitchen cooking. He's been relegated to the kitchen again. In fairness, it was established that in Star Trek Next Generation that Riker does love to cook. Because it was just him and his dad growing up, and his dad was always busy, so he was always the one doing all the cooking. So he does like cooking. So that's not. But it is convenient that they can now throw the white man out the way, you know, because that's really all he does with this episode, doesn't he? He's just talk about, well, what are you up to? This is a dangerous mission. Do you want some pizza?
It's still nice to see them together. I enjoyed seeing them together. Yeah.
Apparently, Riker did once say to Picard, "You want to be ass deep in Romulans the rest of your life." Contemporary slang there again, ass deep. So Riker did warn him. Riker did warn him at one point that this path that he was going to go down. And we also learn that Troy can't read Soji's emotions as an empath, a half betazoid. So that's reinforcing more the idea that Soji is some sort of artificial life form. So, then we had an interesting little contradiction of writing again. Kestra's a pacifist, but she's just hacked up a wild animal, and they're going to cook it and eat it. Make up your mind.
and then she's like, "Yeah, I left the poison in to kill you."
Yeah.
Very pacifist.
Very pacifist, yeah. Kestra's talking about all the stories that she's been told about Data, and again we get some nice little throwbacks, some little member berries throwbacks to Star Trek Next Generation and the role that Data played and the kind of things that he was doing and that. This is the thing with this show, is you get something nice and then they take it away from you, and it'll either be in that they kill something or kill somebody or that, or you get all this line that reinforces the new characters. And we get it here with Kestra. "I think you're so amazing," she says to Soji. She's only just met her.
I suppose you could look at it as she's just met this more kind of impressive being, being really strong, can like jump really high, really good hearing and stuff.
She's only like been told. Was she actually told that?
She
actually told that? She asked, right?
But
right.
Then I suppose she hasn't actually seen it.
No,
she's just.
But she's been told the stories about Data, and she assumes that she's Data's daughter. I still don't know how that works, by the way.
Sure, why not?
how he managed to create sort of part biological. But anyway. So, but it just reinforces that idea that she, Soji's the bestest ever. She's just amazing, Kestra's the wild girl of the woods, so we've got some more girl power going on there, So this story, I don't know if they were real people or whether it's a fictional thing, the wild people of the woods. But Kestra's modelled herself on them anyway. Yeah. So we learn that Riker and Troy had a son, but the son died when he was. I think it's established later in the story that he had some sort of illness that could have been cured,
but because of the synthetic
I mean, that is so convenient, isn't it?
It is very.
It's like the cure could have been harvested in a positronic matrix. So I think, but they didn't. They said it was a silicon-based disease that he had, and not like a carbon-based. So maybe that's how it could have been harvested. Oh, very convenient though. Yeah, very convenient. Very. But, and then Troy starts talking to Picard about how not putting her daughter in danger because she can't bear to lose another child and all this kind of thing. And Troy says, "I'm not as brave as I used to be," which I was quite surprised with that one. I thought they would like upped the bravery of Troy. And did you get the feeling that there was a bit more Troy in this than Riker?
Yeah, I thought there was quite a lot more.
Yeah.
But I was enjoying the Riker and Picard more than...
Yeah. I mean, Troy and Picard were close in the series, but it's reinforcing that feminine thing again, isn't it? Yeah. So they say to stay as long as you want to, but don't put my daughter in danger.
You can stay here.
Stay as long as you want.
But not really.
Not really. So, I mean, that's just, again, that's a convenience to get Riker and Troy out of the way. I don't think personally we're going to see them again.
Probably
If we do, I'm worried sick that they're going to kill them off. But, there'd be a riot if that happened. So, So Narek's following the Lacerina.
It's very angsty there. He's
He's got a little stretch toy that he's playing with, and he's got to catch them. And on the ship, Jurati, I don't want to be a dumb crew member. That boat sailed. That boat sailed on that one, you know. Raffi calls Soji a synth chick. So again, more contemporary slang used in the It's not that I've got no problem with it being there, but be consistent. It's never been there before. I've said this in every video. It's never been there before, apart from people like Tom Paris who knew a bit of 20th, 21st century slang and all that kind of thing. It's just totally different type of language. It's just not really used. So yeah. So we've got synth chick now. It's something else we could add to the list. And same old thing with the language. You know, again, I've got nothing wrong with swearing, but it's just totally inconsistent. Apart from the odd Star Trek movie and the occasional episode of Enterprise. That fucking synth, Jurati. So yeah, just for the sake of it. Just for the sake of it. Raffi's going to go and get Jurati high. So they eat some cake and various other things and that. Jurati's stressing out that she wants to go home and she's crying and doing, and it's all over the place, isn't it?
Her characters make your mind up.
Yeah.
She's
yeah.
sneaking around, then she's crying, then she's scared. Decide.
I mean, I call her quirky Jurati, and I also said, and she does it again in this episode. There's this thing that she does where she starts chewing her mouth, and it looks like she's chewing on a wasp. Yeah. So she's really really going for, you know. She does it again in this episode. I've seen so little of Alison Pill's, is her name, the actress, acting in other things, so I can't tell whether it's something that the actress does or whether it's something that the character does. But it's just another one of these things to make to endear the character to the viewer. It's a very similar thing to what they've done with Tilly in Discovery. So
except she's more annoying.
But yeah, I do actually think she's more annoying. Yeah. So they're going to go and get high and all that. So we're back with Picard and Riker, and he says, "I never wanted to get you involved." That kind of reinforces that thing of we don't want the original cast of Next Generation in the show. Then we find out that Soji's read the Vereen dictionary in 2 minutes, so that's another reinforcement of the fact that she's the bestest ever. Riker says the kid's got Data's DNA in her, or something like that. Slight beratement of Picard here from Riker, because he says that classic Picard arrogance. Yeah. You know, Picard could be arrogant a lot, but you know, it's kind of reinforcing that whole idea of this is how we should see Picard now. These seem to kind of jump backwards and forwards, don't they, a little bit, because you got back to Soji again. Troy gives her was it tomato? Yeah, it was tomato, wasn't it, to eat, and she keeps going on about how it's real, and she's never. It tastes so real. Real is so much better. So, I mean, this dialogue, somebody wrote it. I was going to say you couldn't write it, but somebody did.
Apparently.
Yeah. Right, Troy, she starts getting all stroppy, doesn't she? She pushes Picard out of the way, and Picard says, "Oh, she could have broken me in half." Yeah. Well, with his knees being the way, probably could have done. Yeah.
Just an old man. Leave him alone. Leave Picard alone.
Yeah. And then we get classic contemporary Star Trek. Troy berating.
Extremely.
Yeah. You had it coming. You know. I mean, it's not as bad as some stuff.
That
really,
seemed,
you know,
considering how good friends they are.
Yeah,
that was it didn't seem like something
that's identity politics. Yeah. That's classic identity politics writing. That's not. They've done that on purpose to putting the man down. You know.
That's not something you'd say to a friend. You'd say that to someone you don't like very much.
No, yeah.
It was. Yeah. It was just very harsh, and then after they just hug.
Yeah. Because she says to him, her capacity to trust was a flaw in her programming. She's been manipulated, tortured. Her very consciousness has been violated. So we've got the blame game now as well with Soji. So not only have we got the Troy berating him, but now we're bigging up the victim culture. And then she says to Picard, "You need to be Jean-Luc Picard, compassionate, patient, curious, And Picard then says at the end, useful. You know, like he's not useful anymore. Poor old Picard.
He just sits there in the sidelines, doing nothing most of the time.
Yeah. But then, bringing it back to the feminine thing again, Troy says, let us help you.
Yeah.
You know, we'll make you useful. We'll make you feel useful again. Me and Soji and Kestra, and Raffi and Jurati. We'll make you useful again, us women. You know, because you can't do it on your own because you're an old white man. You know. So, so it's typical stuff, isn't it? Really. It's, and, I mean, you've picked up on it. Just recently, having binge watched them, you've picked up on all of that, haven't you, throughout the show? I just imagine you notice it quite more, much more, don't you, when you watch them, like in one block. Yeah. So, Hugh, I failed them all about the XBs. That is a terrible piece of terminology for the X-Borg. We'll just call them X-Borg. X-drones, X-Borgs, the XBs. It's just another little. It's like JL, isn't it? Yeah. It's like we're trying to be cool. We're trying to be hip, you know. Rizzo corners Hugh and Elnor, trying to traps them, and she finally, and I think this is the first time it's been established in dialogue. Rizzo says that she's one of the Coat Malat. I know it's sort of been established, but they've actually got it in dialogue now for the first time. I thought we were going to have this big, massive fight between Elnor and Rizzo at that point, and Rizzo was going to win over. But no, because Rizzo.
We have a mini fight.
We have a little tiny mini fight. But she throws a knife or something like that, and she kills Hugh.
Yeah.
She kills Hugh Borg, and then she beams away.
Yeah.
So we've had Ichib and Bruce Maddox, and now we've had Hugh. So this is a bloodbath, really. It's getting there. You know.
If you're getting that 7 and 9 death next episode as well.
Maybe because 7 and 9's back. I would not put it. I'm having watched this, studied the way they do these things. I would not put it past them to kill off 7 of 9. I would not put it past them to bring Riker and Troy back and kill them, but not kill Kestra and let her take vengeance on Picard for killing her. It was Picard's fault. But that may be all academic because they might even kill Picard as well. He's
terminally ill, so that's probably how it's going to end. It
won't be any of the new characters, unless the ones that they like Evil and the Patriarchy and all that, So all those fans out there that Hugh situation is very much like Bruce Maddox in that Bruce Maddox was only in one episode, but he was mentioned a lot. He was key to Data's story arc. Hugh was only in 2 episodes. I know he was. People say all 3, but he wasn't actually in Descent Part 1. He was in Descent Part 2, so it's 2 episodes of Next Generation. But he was much more of a fan favourite than Bruce Maddox was. Bruce Maddox was quite a nasty character. Hugh was a sympathetic character and really beloved by the fans, and key to the whole sort of story arc of the Borg and that kind of thing. And so another one's bit the dust. So we go back to La Serena. Raffi and Jurati, they're eating their wacky cake and all the rest of it. And Jurati says to Raffi, "You're a good person." So we've got more female affirmation going on there. It's every scene, isn't it? So every scene, somebody's got to tell somebody how amazing somebody is, or how wonderful somebody is, or that they're a good person, or something like that. And then it goes on, and then Jurati pukes everywhere. Pukes all. We're back with Riker again, and he talks about the Infinity Lake spaceport. And they talk, and Kestra talks about Rupert Crandall, Captain Rupert Crandall, or something like that. I don't know if he's a real captain or not. He's been everywhere from Kronos to Tychon's Rift. And I was like, hang on a minute. First of all, Tychon's Rift isn't a place. It's not a location. It's a type of anomaly named after Bella Tychon in the series. Because we saw it in the Star Trek Generation episode Night Terrors. And also, you've got to be a pretty damn good technical wizard pilot with lots of resources if you do fly into a Tychoon's rift, because your ship basically gets stuck there, drained of power, and you have to blow the rift up to get out of it. You know, that's what they had to do in that next generation episode. So,
of course, the local pilot carrying a lot of explosives.
Yeah. I think Riker does kind of say, "Oh, he tells these stories," so it's kind of downplaying that. But Captain Crandall, or whatever his name is, does know things. Well, one of the things that I wanted to say here as well was, stop getting Star Trek wrong. Writers of this show, just because you're doing it all the time and you just don't seem to give a shit. You don't learn your stuff. I mean, that, you know, it's calling Tychoon's Rift a place rather than a type of anomaly. People might say I'm splitting hairs there, but you know, it seems to happen all the time. So we get into this really crazy stuff then, because they're sitting around the table and Picard says to him, listen to the timbre of my... No, the timbre of my voice, not the timbre. Can't even deliver his dialogue right. He says, listen to the timbre of my voice. So I had to... feel the fluctuations of my heart rate. You know. So how does Soji do this? How does she feel the fluctuations of her heart rate? And more to the point, you said, how does Picard know that she can do this, if she can do it?
You know, things are getting more advanced. You know, maybe, you know, my watch tells my heart rate. Maybe, you know, she is the same as a Samsung watch.
Yeah.
She.
This is artificial technology. So, yeah. But well, like we said, how does Picard even know that she can do that? You know, but the line is so cringy, isn't it? It really is.
The writers cannot write people.
No,
they can't write human interaction. There's a couple here and there that
that
are believable.
But, he says to her, Soji, you can trust me. And then he jumps back into, and that's another thing. This has already been established now that Picard was basically rotting away in his chateau and all that. He says, I was haunted by my past and marking time, wasting my life, but now I'm alive and I have a mission. So Picard's turned it all around thanks to Soji and Daj. You know, it weren't anybody else that did it. It weren't.
They keep mentioning. It's like we saw it.
Yeah, we saw that. We saw you meet her and what the effects
this was established,
and he even said it. He
in
even
episode
said that.
1, and they keep bringing it up over and over again.
Yeah. So Soji tells them about her dream, where she sees her home world. And then Kestra
just say it.
Google Maps on the phone. Let's find the twin moon planet with the storm.
She's just like, there it is. There you go.
Well, she asked Captain Crandall apparently, and when she does, she displays it just like an iPhone, doesn't she?
Yeah, it holds it how I just held it.
Yeah. And so, I mean, people would say, yeah, they've had iPads in Star Trek Administration for years, even before iPads were around and all that kind of thing. But this is not about. This is about mimicking 20th and 21st century ways of doing things and language and slang. It's cheap. It's gimmicky.
Well, they've got these big holographic things in front of them.
Yeah. But it was under the table to make it look like she was. The same way people would do that now, don't they? They do that now. They're like eyes down. Yeah. So we're back on board the La Serena again. This is one of my problems with this episode. Not as bad as some, but it's gone back to that jump back, forth, nothing happening. Yeah. I'd rather have like the previous episode where you're pretty much in one location with nothing happening, rather than all over the place, making it look like things are happening but nothing's happening. So back on the ship again, and Narek's still tracking them. We have Rios and Jurati talking to each other, and then Rios says to Jurati that it could be Raffi that has been tracked. Yeah. That she might have the implant in her, and then Jurati. I mean, it's oh so convenient, isn't it? Because Jurati says, "What did she say to her?"
It's not her. It's definitely not her.
Yeah.
He's like, "What is it? You then?"
Yeah, jokingly. But that's the moment where does Raffi shout to him or something that takes him away? So the scene never goes any further, does it? So like that would have been the opposite.
Even though she basically admitted it.
Was she trying to admit? Was she going to admit to him? Was she going to say, "Look, how much more was she going to tell him? Was she going to tell? Oh, by the way, I killed Maddox. You know? But conveniently, Raffi says, "Shit, he's back." You know, more language. Well, again, got no problem with it, but just doesn't.
They can't help it. All the angst being channeled.
So then, because they're talking about how it is that Narek seems to be able to keep tracking them, and then Jurati replicates this device. She injects herself with it. And then she starts like she's got rabies, like she's foaming at the mouth and all that. The EMH appears, and I think, does the EMH shout for Rios or something like that? But it says that
no, he only shouts for him after she's already in the coma.
Oh right, yeah, because he says she's in a coma now. Because we thought she died at that point, didn't we? She killed herself or something. No such luck. So at least we'll have her out of the way for a little bit because she's in a coma now. So.
Well, the next episode shows her back up again.
So I didn't see that in the recap. So, but whatever it was that she did, it seems to have stopped the tracking device from working.
She took a shit.
She found herself when she injected. No, but then the tracking device would have still been on the ship. It just would have been lying in a turret. Throw it out the airlock. Beam it out. But I wouldn't think to do that. No. So, yeah. So again, we're back on board the Borg ship. Elnor's running around and hiding, and he randomly finds the emergency call thing, which I think was given to Picard for 7 of 9 from the Fenris Rangers. If you ever need me,
yeah, I think so. But it was just
to Picard, wasn't it? So
it was just like hanging
just
up,
like hanging there, like underneath something, or in the entire Borg ship.
He just happens
to like fall down, and this will do it. This will save all the problems. And we know it's for 7 of 9 because 7 of 9's in the next time on Picard, so we know she's coming back. So that's what that's about. Back with Riker. And he wants to know what Picard's new crew are like. And he doesn't really say an awful lot, because other than they carry more baggage, which I just thought was terrible. It really was.
Could have just said, they're shit.
They're shit. Compared to, this wonderful crew that I had on board the Enterprise, which I don't want you lot, by the way.
Yeah. Go.
Yeah. I'll come to pay you a visit and eat your pizza, and now, we find out Riker's still on some sort of reserve duty in case he's needed an absolute emergency, but he did say it would absolutely be a terrible emergency before he went back.
Maybe that's how they'll kill him then. He'll get summoned back to duty.
Yeah. And then we do have a nice little scene there. Picard says, "Thank you, Will, for so many things," and that sort of thing. So, yeah, that was nice. But ruined again a few seconds later. Kestra is sitting there drawing Soji. "Oh, I'm going to miss you. I'm going to miss you too." Like they're having a girly moment. They're having a sleep. What do they call them? Sleepovers. Yeah. Kestra's talking to her about because she says she's lost her sister now, and everything else was fake and all this kind of thing. And she says, "Yeah, well, Picard. You could both have each other, So this is so much better for you now than all those years of the Enterprise crew and that. Just Picard and Soji.
That's it.
That'll make up for everything that we've lost.
Of course.
Yeah.
Kestra
then gives Soji a compass, which did she say at the beginning of the episode that it doesn't work?
Yeah. What she should have gave her as a screenshot of Google Maps.
Yeah.
Or just a link.
Yeah. But the message here is, you'll find your own way. You'll find yourself. A bit like the Doctor.
Yeah.
In Doctor Who. And she's found herself now. The truth has been revealed. You'll find your way. So it's all about positive, feminine. Fair play. I've got nothing against that kind of thing. I've got nothing against, any of these things in society and life. But it's the way it's done. It's trite. Yeah. It's tokenistic. The people behind this don't mean any of the things that they're putting across in the writing of these shows. They just it's gimmicky. It's just gimmicky. It's just the latest tick boxes. Yeah. So Picard and Soji beam away, and we get the Star Trek Next Generation theme again. I think that's the second time they've done that this series now, where it's I wish they'd leave it alone.
That was very cheesy.
I like the music, but I don't want to see it in this. I don't, you know, let it be its own thing, and then people can just decide that it's crap or not.
I mean, it was better than the use of the theme in Doctor Who.
Oh, yeah. There's nothing nowhere near as cringy as that. So that's basically it for that episode. Not really a lot happening.
Probably about 5 minutes worth of stuff happened in the 58-minute episode.
I said in the previous episode that I thought we were finally moving forward just a little bit. They got Soji off the Borg cube now. Soji found out something, but it's gone no further forward. It was just a reunion. It was a reunion, really, wasn't it? Between which was good. I liked that, but again, there's always a sour taste to these things when you watch them, because it's undermined by all the identity politics and the virtue signalling and all the rest of it, and killing off iconic characters in the past. So, you know, you get that reunion, but the price of that is that Hugh Borg has to be killed. Yeah. You know, just stabbed in the neck, just like that, and that's it. Yeah. So there's not really a lot else I want to say about it, really. Anything that you...
It was an extremely uneventful episode.
Yeah, there's not really much happened in it at all.
Like, you like these characters, just see them chill for a bit.
It was a big sort of member berries thing, wasn't it? Yeah, that was really... I will admit that, you know, it is nice. I'm a sucker for member berries, but not enough to make me think, oh, well, this is good. I'm really enjoying this now again, you know, because I can see what's going on here. And that little nugget of a story that I've said this in all my reviews, again, it's the core of a good idea here. It's so small, though, that they need to develop it. They need to expand it out. Yeah. And each episode, I've been thinking to myself, and you might have thought this, I mean, it's slightly different for you because you watched them continue. Yeah. Did you think when you got to the end of the episode, the next one now is going to move it forward a bit? Yeah. Did you think? And then it didn't. And then the preview for the next one at the end, you think, because we thought this with this one, didn't we? We see 7 of 9 and they're back on the, something's happened on the Borg ship and and all this kind of, and think, maybe we'll move forward there, but I bet it doesn't.
Probably not.
Is that episode 8?
8, yeah.
We've got 3 more to go.
Yeah.
And that's
Nothing's happened. There's about 2 episodes worth of stuff in there. Yeah.
So, episode rating. I don't think it's as bad as of late. It's more, for me, it's more in keeping with how episode 1 was, with the, you know, bringing back that feel of everything. But does that make something good? Because it's just not quite as bad as the badness of the other one.
Yeah, not really.
I don't know. Have you got any ideas for you? I think I know where mine is, but...
I mean, because I haven't got all the extra context of things.
Yeah.
There's certain
you've got to
things...
take it just...
I've got to take it as just... Not Star Trek, as just a TV series, really. And my opinion is definitely going to change when I've gone through this great journey of Star Trek.
Yeah, definitely.
It's just so average.
Because you already recognise that with Discovery.
Yeah.
How shit that show is.
Discovery's trash.
Even without knowing that much about you could see it. Because of the writing, because of the acting, because of the nihilistic, the violence and everything about it, and the nonsensical plots and gimmicks and MacGuffins.
The cool stuff just comes off as so crap.
Yeah. So it doesn't take a rocket scientist or a starship scientist to see when something is shit, irrespective of whether you're a fan or not. Yeah.
This is, I think Picard is better than Discovery.
It's not as bad as Discovery.
I think, I don't know, the whole thing's just sort of like a 5-ish. It's just average.
Right.
There's like nothing that really stands out.
Okay. And I can understand why you would take that sort of position in the score, because of the fact that you've not... For me, I can't remember actually, but I'm pretty sure I gave the first episode a 5. Yeah. And after that, it's just gone down and down and down. It's gone back up slightly a little bit for this last one, and I'm going to give this a 3. Yeah. But most of that, I shouldn't give it that high at all because of what they've done with Hugh. In my mind, I'm thinking whether really it ought to be a 2, because everything that's redeeming about it is just seeing Riker, Troy, and Picard back together on screen. Even that's undermined by the lecture that Troy gives him and all that kind of thing, and a heavy emphasis on Kestra. and Soji and that away from.
Yeah, they were too much focused, really.
Yeah, yeah. It's nice to see that they've had a kid and they've had children and all that kind of thing, because it could so easily have gone down the Han Solo and Princess Leia route, couldn't it?
Yeah.
No, they didn't stay together. They didn't.
Yeah.
And their fans would have been up in arms if that would have. And I wonder that even the actors wouldn't have come back for it if that would have been the case. So they've done some fan service, but again, it's one of those things where they give you on one hand, they take away from you in the other. So they give you Riker and Troy still together, married, which is not nowadays. Two white people that are married and got a family and all that kind of thing. But then they kill off a beloved character on the other hand. Yeah. So it swings and roundabouts. So I think somewhere between a 2 and 3, but I'll say 3 for now.
Yeah. So the whole series for me has just been a 5. It's just average, really. There's nothing. It doesn't. I mean, okay, it wasn't very draining to watch, but it didn't hurt me to watch it.
No, I mean, I don't take that position of. I know there's a lot of people out there who absolutely hate it with a passion.
Yeah.
And I have that view of Discovery.
Yeah.
I absolutely loathe Discovery. I cannot find anything redeemable, really. There's one episode, if memory serves, where it brought back the Telosians, and I know the people hated that online because they said, "Oh, it's what the hell has this done to Pike?" But I always wanted to see a follow up to the Cage. I love the Cage. I think it's a brilliant episode. It's quaint, it's antiquated, but it's got a great story.
I enjoyed it a lot.
And I love the Telosian, as I would have loved to have seen what would have happened with Pike carrying on. Bringing Pike back, they've decimated his character, but that was the one episode where he had a few moments. Seeing him with Vina again and all that, it was really nice. That was, and I maybe I'm just talking out my arse basically, but but Picard doesn't occupy that same level of absolute awfulness for me. There's still a huge amount of things wrong with it, but it's not quite so offensive as.
It could just be that the scale of it isn't as much as Discovery, so it's like a smaller crew, not working with everyone else, and they're just. Like, they can't do something like everyone's just not allowed to talk about it. They can't do anything like that. Yeah.
So that's where we are with Star Trek Picard. Anything else you wanted to say?
Not really.
Want to put it together? Yeah. Okay then. So, like we say, we've got 3 now to go.
3 left.
3 now to go. So, if you like this video, don't forget to click the like button and share it about if you can. Or if you like the content of this channel, please don't forget to subscribe and click the bell icon for notifications. And I'm assuming you'll be joining us for the rest of the reviews, the rest of the season. We may as well, seeing as we've
yeah.
So both me and Dan, we will see you in the next video.
Goodbye.